Verse for opening a sutra. The unsurpassed profound and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of aeons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. The Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 3, Universal Worthy's Samadhi. At that time, Universal Worthy Bodhisattva Mahasattva, who was seated upon the lion's throne of a treasury of lotus blossoms before the Thus Come One, received the Buddha's spiritual power and entered Samadhi. That Samadhi is called the seed body of a Thus Come One, which all Buddhas have in common, that is Vairochana. It is universal entry into identity with all Buddhas and the ability to display a multitude of images throughout the Dharma realm. It is vast, great, and unobstructed, just like space and the Dharma realm, none of whose eddying seas are not accordingly entered. It produces every Samadhi Dharma. It can universally encompass the Dharma realms of the 10 directions. The oceans of wisdom light of the Buddhas, of the 3 periods of time, all come forth from it. It can completely reveal all the oceans of arrangements throughout the 10 directions. It encompasses all Buddhist powers and liberations and all Bodhisattvas' wisdom. It can cause every fine mote of dust in the lens to universally contain boundless Dharma realms. It accomplishes the ocean of meritorious qualities of all Buddhas. It makes appear the seas of all the Thus Come One's great vows. It circulates, protects, and maintains all Dharma wheels of all Buddhas, so they are never cut off. Just as in this world, Universal Worthy Bodhisattva entered the Samadhi in the presence of the world on it one, it was the same way to the exhaustion of the Dharma realm and the realm of space throughout the 10 directions and the 3 periods of time, in all lands, whether fine and subtle, unobstructed, vast and great, luminous, visible to the Buddha eye, able to be reached by the Buddhist powers, or where Buddhist bodies can manifest. Within every single mote of dust of all the dust motes in those lands, as well as this land, were Buddha lands as many as the fine dust motes in the sea of worlds. In each of those lands there were Buddhas numerous as the fine dust motes in the sea of worlds. Before each and every Buddha there were universal worthy bodhisattvas, numerous as the fine dust motes in the sea of worlds, all of whom also entered this Samadhi of the seed body of a Thus Come One, which all Buddhas have in common, that is Vairochana. At that time, before each and every universal worthy bodhisattva, all Buddhas of the 10 directions appeared. All of those Thus Come Ones praised him in unison, saying, good indeed, good man, that you are able to enter this bodhisattva's Samadhi of the seed body of a Thus Come One, which all Buddhas have in common, that is Vairochana. Disciple of the Buddha, it is because all the Buddhas of the 10 directions are together aiding you, and it is through the power of the original vows of Vairochana, Thus Come One, and it is also through the power of your own cultivation of all Buddhas' conduct and vows that you can turn the Dharma wheels of all Buddhas and reveal the sea of wisdom of all Thus Come Ones. That is also why you can universally illumine all the oceans of arrangements in the 10 directions, completely without exception. You can cause all beings admixtures of defilement to be cleansed and regulated, so they become pure. You can universally gather in all great lands without any attachment. You can deeply enter the states of all Buddhas without obstruction. You can universally display the meritorious qualities of all Buddhas. You can enter the reality of all dharmas and increase in wisdom. You can contemplate all dharma methods. You can understand the disposition of each and every being, and you can maintain the sea of texts of teachings of all Buddhas, the thus come ones. At that time, all the Buddhas of the 10 directions bestowed upon universal worthy Bodhisattva Mahasattva the wisdom of the power to enter the nature of all wisdom. They bestowed the wisdom through which one enters the boundlessness of the Dharma realm. They bestowed the wisdom through which one accomplishes the states of all Buddhas. They bestowed the wisdom through which one can know the coming into being and the decline of all seas of worlds. They bestowed the vast and great wisdom through which one knows all realms of beings. They bestowed the wisdom through which one dwells in all Buddha's deep, profound liberations and non-differentiating samadhis. They bestowed the wisdom through which one enters into the seas of all bodhisattvas' faculties. They bestowed the wisdom through which one knows the seas of all beings' languages and eloquence of phrasing in turning the Dharma wheel. They bestowed the wisdom through which one's body universally enters all seas of worlds of the Dharma realm. They bestowed the wisdom through which one obtains all Buddha's sounds. Just as in this world, universal worthy Bodhisattva, before the world honored one, received the bestowal of such wisdom from all Buddhas, so too the same thing also happened in all the seas of worlds to all the universal worthy bodhisattvas in each and every mode of dust in all those seas of worlds. Why is that? It is because when one certifies to this samadhi, the Dharma is that way. At that time, all the Buddhas of the 10 directions extended their right hands and rubbed universal worthy bodhisattva on the crown of his head. Their hands were all adorned with the marks and characteristics, spreading out wondrous webs of light, with fragrance pouring forth and flames arising. Furthermore, they produced the various wondrous sounds of all Buddhas, as well as their deeds of self-mastery and spiritual penetrations. Amidst that appeared the seas of universal worthy vows of all bodhisattvas of the past, the present, and the future, the pure Dharma wheels of all the thus come ones, and all images of all Buddhas of the 3 periods of time. Just as in this world, universal worthy bodhisattva was rubbed on the crown of his head, simultaneously by all Buddhas of the 10 directions, so too, in all seas of worlds, all the universal worthy bodhisattvas in each and every mode of dust in all those seas of worlds were rubbed upon the crown by all the Buddhas of the 10 directions. Right then, universal worthy bodhisattva rose from samadhi, and at the same moment that he rose from that samadhi, he also rose from entrances into seas of samadhis, as numerous as the fine dust motes in all seas of worlds. That is to say, he rose from the entrance into samadhi of expedient wisdom to know the 3 periods of time in thought after thought, without differentiation. He rose from the entrance into samadhi of knowing all fine dust motes in all Dhamma realms in the 3 periods of time. He rose from the entrance into samadhi of manifesting all Buddha lands of the 3 periods of time. He rose from the entrance into samadhi of manifesting the residences of all beings. He rose from the entrance into samadhi of knowing the seas of minds of all beings. He rose from the entrance into samadhi of knowing each of the different names of all beings. He rose from the entrance into samadhi of knowing all the distinct locations throughout the Dharma realms of the 10 directions. He rose from the entrance into samadhi of knowing how each and every fine mote of dust contains clouds of innumerable, immense bodies of Buddhas. He rose from the entrance into Samadhi, of proclaiming the seeds of principles and purports of all dharmas. When Universal Worthy Bodhisattva rose from all such entrances into Samadhi, all of those bodhisattvas individually attained clouds of seas of samadhis, as numerous as the fine dust motes in sea of worlds, clouds of seas of dharanis, as numerous as the fine dust motes in a sea of worlds, clouds of seas of all dharma expedients, as numerous as the fine dust motes in a sea of worlds, clouds of seas of entrances into eloquence, as numerous as the fine dust motes in a sea of worlds, clouds of seas of practices, as numerous as the fine dust motes in a sea of worlds, clouds of seas of wisdom lights from all the dust come one's treasury of merit and virtue, as numerous as the fine dust motes in the sea of worlds, universally shining throughout the Dharma realm, clouds of seas of all dust come one's powers, wisdom, and expedience of non-differentiation, as numerous as the fine dust motes in a sea of worlds, clouds of seas of all the dust come ones, each manifesting in every pore multitudes of lands as numerous as the fine dust motes in a sea of worlds, and clouds of seas of bodhisattvas as numerous as the fine dust motes in the sea of worlds, each manifesting descent from the palace of the Tushita heaven, being born, becoming a Buddha, turning the wheel of proper Dharma, entering parinirvana, and so forth. Just as in this world, Universal Worthy Bodhisattva rose from Samadhi, and all the multitudes of bodhisattvas obtained such benefits, so too in all seas of worlds, in each and every mote of dust, in all the dust motes in all those seas of worlds, it was just the same way. At that time, through the awesome spiritual might of all Buddhas and the power of Samadhi of Universal Worthy Bodhisattva, all the seas of worlds throughout the 10 directions subtly quaked. Each and every world became adorned with multitudes of jewels and sent forth wondrous sounds that proclaim all dharmas. Moreover, in the seas of assemblies in the Bodhimandas of all the dust come ones, there universally rained down 10 kinds of immense clouds of splendid mani. What were the 10? They were splendid mani clouds of wondrous golden star banners, splendid mani clouds of luminous brilliance, splendid mani clouds of precious orbs trailing down, splendid mani clouds of treasuries of jewels displaying images of bodhisattvas, splendid mani clouds extolling the names of Buddhas, splendid mani clouds of blazing light that universally illumine the Bodhimandas in all Buddhist lands, splendid mani clouds of light illuminating the myriad transformations in the 10 directions, splendid mani clouds praising the meritorious qualities of all bodhisattvas, splendid mani clouds as resplendently bright as the sun, and splendid mani clouds of mellifluous music heard throughout the 10 directions. After those 10 kinds of immense clouds of splendid mani universally rained down, bright light streamed forth from all the pores of all those dust come ones. The following verses were spoken within the light. Universal Worthy dwells in every land. The multitudes see him seated on a precious lotus. He displays every spiritual penetration and enters countless samadhis. With various bodies, Universal Worthy constantly travels throughout the Dharma realm, feeling it entirely. Such are his samadhi, spiritual power, skillful means. His perfect voice proclaims principles without obstruction. At every Buddha's dwelling place within each land, His spiritual powers are revealed through his samadhis, and each and every spiritual power extensively pervades absolutely every country of the 10 directions. As this happens in every land where the dust come ones are, so too does it happen in every dust mote of those lands. Samadhi, spiritual power, and such phenomena appear because Vairochana has made his mighty vows. Universal Worthy's body is as the void. He resides in truth, not in a land, according with the wishes of every being. His universal body equally appears to all. Universal Worthy, by abiding in great vows, attain these limitless spiritual powers. For every Buddhist body and every land, he manifests his form and journeys to that place. The ocean of all beings is utterly unbounded, and his division bodies dwell there, likewise measureless. All the lands he manifests are splendid and pure, and in a single instant he can see for many aeons. Universal Worthy dwells in every land, displaying spiritual powers, excellent beyond compare. The quaking of the earth extends in all the 10 directions, and all who contemplate can see him. All Buddha's wisdom and the strength of meritorious virtue, and all their various great dharmas he has perfected. By means of these samadhis and skillful means, he manifests his past practices for Bodhi. Such inconceivable self-mastery as this, he displays in all lands of the 10 directions, to elucidate his universal entry into all samadhis. Buddhas in clouds of light praise his merit and virtue. At that time, the multitudes of bodhisattvas gazed upward at Universal Worthy Bodhisattva with palms joined. Receiving the Buddha's spiritual power, they spoke praises in unison. Born from the Dharma of all Buddhas, and arising from the vows of thus come ones, you are one with true suchness, impartial as empty space. In all assemblies in every Buddha land, Universal Worthy pervasively dwells, the radiant one of merit, virtue, and wisdom like the sea, illumines the 10 directions equally, so none fail to see. Ocean vast is Universal Worthy's meritorious virtue. He draws near to Buddhas throughout the 10 directions, to every land within each fine mote of dust. He journeys and makes himself clearly visible. Disciple of the Buddha, we all constantly observe you, drawing near to all thus come ones, dwelling in Samadhi in this state of true reality. For aeons numerous as the motes of dust in every land, disciple of the Buddha, with your universal body, you pervade all lands in the 10 directions. The great sea of beings is rescued and liberated as you enter every dust mote of the Dharma realm. And entering into every dust mote of the Dharma realm, your body is inexhaustible, undifferentiated, being all-pervasive like the emptiness of space. You speak the Dharma, vast and great, of all Tathagatas. Brilliant, radiant one, replete with meritorious virtue, your all-surpassing powers, vast and great, spread like a cloud. Within the sea of beings you journey everywhere and speak the peerless Dharma cultivated by the Buddhas. Liberating beings throughout oceans of aeons, you cultivate Samantabhadra's practices supreme, expounding each and every Dharma like a thundercloud. Vast and great your voice resounds so all can hear. How have all the lands come into being? And by what means do all Buddhas appear? Along with the oceans of all beings, we hope you will speak these truths as they are. All within this limitless great assembly, vast as the sea, are here before you, honored one, respectfully. And as you turn the wheel of Dharma, wondrous, clear, and pure, all the Buddhas are accordingly delighted.